Hey, it's Kevin coming to you from the Finsider YouTube channel and SB Nation YouTube once again. As the 2012 Miami Dolphins make their way to the training camp process, there are numerous storylines and position battles that we're all going to get to watch. The first of those is the obvious one, the quarterback position. Matt Moore versus David Garrard versus Ryan Tannehill. Moore comes into this battle having won 6 of the last 9 games for the Dolphins in 2011. But he has a bad habit of looking good in relief appearances only to lose the starting job the next training camp. David Garrard, meanwhile, joins the Dolphins after 9 years with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He had 1 Pro Bowl appearance and threw for over 16,000 yards with the Jaguars, but he sat out all of 2011 with a back injury. He's going to have to prove that he's both healthy and has something left in the tank in order to play with the Dolphins and win the starting job. And finally, we have rookie Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill was drafted 8th overall by the Dolphins, although the team did know that he needs more development before he's probably ready to play. Tannehill does come to Miami with a familiarity with the offense, however, having been under new Dolphins offensive coordinator Mike Sherman when Sherman and Tannehill were together at Texas A&M. Heading into training camp, Garrard seems to have the early lead in the battle, with Tannehill taking up the 3rd position. However, everything could change during the battle between Garrard and Moore, and it'll probably tighten up before we hit the preseason games. Tannehill needs to use this opportunity to learn after signing his contract, which he has yet to do. My pick is Garrard to win the battle, but Moore wouldn't surprise me either. Our next position battle comes deep in the secondary, as Chris Clemons, Tyrone Culver, and Jimmy Wilson all battle for a position next to Rashad Jones. Jones has developed a reputation as a big play secondary coverage guy, but he can end up out of position as he takes risks. Whomever wins the starting job next to him has to be able to assist him in order to make sure that the Dolphins don't give up the big play. Clemons was the Dolphins' starting free safety in 2010, but he was limited last season after having off-season hamstring surgery and then re-aggravating that injury against the Patriots in Week 1 last year. He has just 1 career interception in his 3 seasons since being drafted, but he also has a reputation almost exactly opposite of Jones. He's a player who will be solid and in position, but he's not the ball-hawking, risk-taking type that gets the notoriety around the NFL. Culver has spent 4 years with the Dolphins after his 2006 rookie campaign with the Packers. He's never been a starting safety for a season, but he has developed into a solid reserve. He's played nearly every game in his 5 years in the NFL, and he did replace Jones for 4 games as the starter last year. He's now looking to turn that starting experience into starting next to Jones in 2012. Meanwhile, we have Jimmy Wilson, who's the joker in this game. The 7th round pick in 2011 is trying to convert from cornerback last year into safety this year. He's a guy who loves contact and does a great job attacking ball carriers. Moving him from cornerback to safety should help the team against the run, which is what Jeremiah Bell did at the position last year. It'll also allow Wilson to make breaks on passes and hopefully provide turnovers that the Miami secondary desperately needs. In the end, I think the starting job goes to Chris Clemons, but that's simply a gut feeling and the fact that I like Clemons. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Culver can get the job, especially if Clemons can't stay healthy. But no matter who starts this year, both of them have to be looking back over their shoulders at Wilson. Wilson will develop quickly during the season and will probably be pressing for playing time this year, and if he's not starting by the end of the year, should be starting in 2013. The next position battle is the wide receivers. Brian Hartline and Devon Bess are set to be the team's starters, but behind them there are a jumble of receivers all looking to make the roster. Chad Johnson, or Chad Ochocinco as the Dolphins website still calls him, will most likely make the team as the 3rd receiver if he can prove during training camp that last year's New England Patriots disaster was the aberration and not the norm. If he can come back with any sense of the talent that got him 6 Pro Bowls in Cincinnati, the Dolphins could have a steal this year. Roberto Wallace will probably make the team as the 4th receiver and could be looking to make his first real impact on the Dolphins offense. He's looked good during OTAs and minicamps, and he seems to be developing a good chemistry, especially with David Garrard. Garrard recently said he's been that guy I've really been looking at, really been talking to, and really been trying to work with, because I think he can put it all together. And when he does, him and the quarterback can really manipulate the defense and almost play backyard football, where we start coming up with some of our own plays. He can be a big talent because he's already got the size, the speed, and the hands. Wallace should find his way onto the roster this year, and he'll probably have more of an impact than the 2 appearances he had in 2011 with 0 receptions. Julius Pruitt should hold on to be the 5th wide receiver on the roster, and like Wallace, Pruitt has had a good OTA and minicamp. He's developed chemistry with all 3 of the Dolphins' potential starting quarterbacks, including the final practice of minicamp when he caught 3 touchdown passes, 1 from each quarterback. Right now, I have 5 wide receivers making the roster, but I'm pretty sure the Dolphins are going to try to carry 6. Who that 6th wide receiver will be will come down to Clyde Gates, Legadou Nani, or Marlon Moore. Gates has all the speed a wide receiver could want, but he has problems adjusting routes and running crisp routes, and he doesn't hold on to the ball quite like you would want a player of his magnitude. Meanwhile, Legadou Nani's biggest problem may simply be the fact that Chad Johnson's on the roster. Nani seemed like he was brought in to be the veteran on a young receiving corps, and now Johnson's holding down that role. Nani's going to have a big training camp if he wants to make the Dolphins roster in 2012. And Marlon Moore is coming into this season having followed the same trajectory as Roberto Wallace. However, while Wallace is making an impact in OTAs and minicamps, Moore has only shown that he can continue to drop the ball and has not seemed to set up the chemistry that others have. The 3 of them will all look to claim that final roster spot, but their biggest challenge may be any veterans that get cut during training camps from other teams. Training camp will also give us an opportunity to see our 4th storyline, Les Brown. Brown is the tight end attempting to make an NFL roster after giving up on football 5 years ago to pursue basketball in college. After an impressive pro day with BYU, Brown was heavily courted by several teams during the offseason, and going undrafted, chose to sign with the Dolphins. He's most likely destined to end up on the 2012 practice squad, but his work ethic and attitude have been a favorite among players, and he could find a way onto the 53-man roster. Either way, if he's able to hang around with the Dolphins for the next couple of years, he could develop into a fan favorite and has the potential to develop into a very impressive tight end. Our final storyline for the 2012 Miami Dolphins training camp is probably the simplest one, but also the one most of us Dolphin fans want to see. How will the new coaching staff and schemes affect the team? The offense is trading Tony Sperano's power running game for head coach Joe Philbin and offensive coordinator Mike Sherman's West Coast offense. The team is also looking to speed up the game, consistently getting to the line and snapping the ball with 30 seconds or more left on the play clock. The team's stated goal is to run 90 offensive plays per game, looking to simply wear down opposing defenses. As for the Dolphins defense, the team is shifting from a 3-4 formation to a 4-3, a trade that normally takes a year or 2 to complete. However, with the Dolphins players, this trade should be easy enough to do. For example, former outside linebacker Cameron Wake spent most of last year rushing the passer with his hand in the dirt. That means that this year as a defensive end, it's a change really in name only. Former nose tackle Paul Soliai is also moving from the middle over the center to a defensive tackle position between the center and guard. However, he's still going to be asked to take on 2 blockers, he's still going to be asked to clog up the middle, and he's still going to be asked to free Randy Starks, Cameron Wake, and either Jared Odrick or Olivier Vernon up to get to the quarterback. As for the linebackers, Carlos Dansby, Kevin Burnett, and Koa-Misi should all be able to excel in a 4-3 scheme. Burnett and Misi will play on the outside of Dansby, who should be able to take charge of the defense from his new middle linebacker position. The coaching staff should also be able to assist the secondary, as Kevin Coyle comes over from the Cincinnati Bengals, where he was the secondary coach, to now be the Dolphins defensive coordinator. With his expertise and the 150 interceptions that his scheme brought to the Bengals, Vontae Davis and Sean Smith could develop into the best corner duo that Davis expected them to be last year. Add in Rashad Jones and whomever starts next to him, and the secondary could be a scary one. Overall, this training camp should be an interesting one to watch, and watch it we will. The Dolphins take center stage on HBO's Hard Knocks this year, debuting on August 7th. For the first time in Miami history, fans won't have to rely on reporter and fan stories coming out of open practices. We'll get to see the team from inside the team's facilities. We will get to watch the personnel decisions. We'll get to see what Philbin, Sherman, Coyle, General Manager Jeff Ireland, and owner Stephen Ross are doing and thinking. Training Camp 2012 will be a great time for the Miami Dolphins players and fans. And of course, we'll keep it all covered on the Phinsider with the Phinsider YouTube channel and SB Nation's YouTube channel. Join the Phinsider to comment and make sure to subscribe to both the Phinsider and SB Nation YouTube. We'll keep you updated with all the Miami Dolphins news, as well as all the news coming out of NFL training camps around the league. This is Kevin for the Phinsider YouTube channel and SB Nation YouTube. Thanks for watching.